I wrote this after I met the great harmonica player and great guitar player, Charlie Musselwhite. I was born in Mississippi at a place that I did not choose. The doctor, he pulled me from my mama, said, son, welcome to the blues. Welcome to the blues. When I was 18, I come to Chicago in an old brown suit and white shoes. Little Walter, he gave me a harmonica. He said this might help you if you got the blues. This might save you if you got the blues. Well, the woman I loved, she left me for another man. I said, Mr. Williams, what should I do? Big Joe said, well, I seen that woman. And Charlie, you better off with the blues. I know it, you better off with the blues. This is what they sound like. Oh, now when I'm done breathing, I may not get to heaven, but if I do, I'm going to tell all them saints walking round, I was born down and died with the blues. Born and I died with the blues. I was born and I died with the blues.
Ray's got a new album out called Ruffian's Misfortune.
The Ruffian's Misfortune, yeah.
And you also have an autobiography coming out called A Life Well Lived, which I should explain is a life ... well, comma, lived.
Live, yeah. You have to use the punctuation because it's a life well lived, and it's. I just finished it up. It should be out sometime in September, and it's kind of a bunch of just road stories. Reason I started, a fellow named Tom Jurek, who works for All Music Guide. We were emailing back and forth, and I wrote in this story about when I was about 17 or 18. I met Muddy Waters in Omaha and was able to, be up in the office while they paid him, which was a treat. So I wrote him that story, and he said, that's a good story. And I said, well, I've got another one, When Willie Nelson Kidnapped Me. So I started kind of writing these stories about, what happened to me, and then so we put it together in a book, and it's not just an autobiography. I also put things in there about songwriting, when I learned kind of about inspiration and craft and that, and kind of show actually some finger picking patterns. People kind of asked me about that.
We ran an excerpt of it not that long ago, and
yeah, I picked the one about how to get a free Gibson guitar.
That's right. But one of the things that you mentioned in that excerpt is how you compared writing a I should say, a financially successful song is like rolling dice.
It is.
And that you said you've been able to roll a couple of sevens here and there, and I was wondering if you could talk more about some of those successes and how they came about.
Well, I feel very fortunate. Like I say, I can't mention this for everybody, but I sleep with the president of the record label, which isn't Clive David, it's my wife, Judy. And so as a songwriter, she says, you write whatever you want to write, and then I'll try to sell the damn things. And so for a writer, I'm not writing for a publishing company to try to get cuts, or I'm not writing to try to get somebody to record them. I just write these kind of gnarly old songs and the best I can. And so in the past, I've been very fortunate to have I guess like friends of mine cut some of my songs. Of course, Jerry Jeff did Redneck Mother a long time ago, as did New Riders and of the Purple Sage and Bobby Bear, and then had some other cuts, with Cross Indian Ragweed did one of my songs, and so that's just kind of it's. And then Paul Thorne, of course, did Snake Form, which was, when you have somebody like Paul Thorne, who's such a great writer himself, to do one of your songs, I feel really honored by that someone of his caliber of writing would do one of my songs. So most of my songs that I've had recorded by other people were just they just kind of happened upon them. We didn't like try to pitch them to get somebody to cut them, and so feel very grateful and lucky about that.
I think you've been sober for about 15 or 20 years, something like that.
27.
27.
Yeah, well, last 2 weeks hadn't been that bad. I'm just.
But I was wondering if you've ever gone back and sort of looked at your approach to songwriting and noticed a difference between how you used to write before and how you write now.
Oh yeah, well, it's really, when I started off, I feel very fortunate to have, start off in folk music there in Oak Cliff, and seen such. Been influenced by Michael Murphy, who, Geronimo's Cadillac and Wildfire, great songwriter, and being familiar with that kind of how important the lyrics were, with being able to have seen Townes Van Zandt and Guy Clark and, of course, Billy Joe and all these great writers. And then, so, but when I was young, in my early, it was just pretty much what I lacked in talent, I made up for in attitude. And so it was, it was a very, you're a young kid and you're 20, 21, you got a guitar, and pretty much if they have beer and electricity, you play the gig, right? That's all you needed, And so the songwriting, I was writing songs, but then when I got clean and sober when I was 41, I kind of made a conscious effort to try to really learn the craft of songwriting and try to be a better guitar player. And so at 42, I actually took guitar lessons to learn to finger pick. I feel fortunate to have seen Lightning Hopkins and Mance Lipscomb, and I really wanted to try to play guitar like that. And so, like I say, it's been a really good marriage for me, having the importance of the lyrics, but then trying to, lay the lyrics on a deep groove, on a kind of a blues foundation. So hopefully my songwriting has improved. And I know my show has, as I'm not falling in the drums anymore.
Well, I was going to ask you about people like Lightning Hopkins
Yeah.
and Mance Lipscomb, because I know that you were really into those guys when you were younger, but
Yeah.
it really took you a while to actually go out and learn that style. And I was wondering why you were hesitant at first.
It was kind of one of those things. I was a folk singer, back in those early days in Texas. And I'd seen Lightning and Mance, and I loved to and they were just phenomenal. But as far as my guitar playing, I was more kind of a, folky strummer type thing, and just kind of did a little finger picking thing, a little don't think twice type thing. So I never was confident in my guitar playing, and then of course the whole progressive country thing with Willie and Jerry Jeff and Michael Murphy came along. You kind of got bands, and you didn't really have to, it was really the songwriting was really important. It was really a great time. Everybody, had all these great songs, Willie and Jerry Jeff and Rusty Weir and Michael Murphy and B.W., and that whole scene was really great. And then the movie Urban Cowboy came along and ruined everything, where it wasn't about the music as much as it was about the scene. And so, but I was, just kind of, like I say, in my 20s and 30s, it was just kind of a wild, great time to be doing it, And then, but when I got clean and sober in 41, I said, well, I really wanted to try to write songs where I wasn't going to compromise. I was just going to try to write the best songs I could and not worry about the future of them. Does that make sense? I was going to write this song not worrying about whether it was going to be cut or whether I would ever record it. And so it just kind of, got serious about my guitar playing. And I'm still a little sloppy about it, but that's part of it's that touch of amateurism I have that's so appealing.
What has been the most difficult aspect of playing in that finger-picking style that for you to pick up?
Well, it was a fellow there in Dallas named Sam Swank, great guitar player. He showed me, kind of brought in my third finger, and then that kind of left my. I think learning to just keep the low E growing with the low E, just with the dead thumb, just a doom doom doom. You got lightning hawk and dun 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 dun, and then let the other fingers kind of do their stuff. So that was really an important part of it, and I think another thing I've mentioned too in the book is that once I learned an E chord without the third, that was really, then all of a sudden I went, oh, this is the secret of the universe here. You don't play the third on that E chord, you just have the E B E B B A E, and so that was really important to me. Then that fit. Then I was able to take that and the songs the inspiration would work with that, with the finger picking and learning about just kind of the drone. This is a song, it's off the new record, Ruffian's Misfortune. It's called Stone Blind Horses, and it's not really a theme. It's not a concept album, but there's kind of these themes that run through a bunch of the songs. As I've gotten older, I kind of started thinking about my mortality a little bit, and I'm just kind of come to the conclusion, I hope that God grades on a curve. There are some saints that have been forgotten. Like most of my drunken prayers, they say there's a heaven and it's somewhere above yonder, where there's no more crosses to bear, and there's ghosts all along the highways, and there's storms out on the seas. My only hope now is that somewhere in that heaven someone says a prayer for me. I've been riding stone blind horses. I've never seen a reason to believe. Hey, sweet Genevieve, say a prayer for me, and the wild young cowboys, the old drunks, and the paramours and thieves. I slurred whistle of a red-winged blackbird sounds like he's singing, oh, that I might die. It's a song for those who have fallen, unrepentant, with no alibis. I've been riding stone blind horses, never seen a reason to believe. Hey, sweet Genevieve, say a prayer for me, and the wild young cowboys, the old drunks, the paramours and the thieves. Hey, sweet Genevieve, say a prayer for me. And the wild young cowboys, the old drunks, the paramours and the thieves.
And so before we talk about the Gibsons you brought with you, I was wondering if you can sort of walk us through your history with acoustic guitars. What did you used to play? Like, what was the first guitar that really kind of lit up your face?
Oh, well, when I was 17, my mother and father, for some reason, I talked them into, I found an old Martin D28, a 54 D28 that was just, that's the dream guitar for a folk singer, in the 60s to have it. And so that was a very important guitar. And then I had a Martin D41 that I got from Willis Allen Ramsey. And unfortunately, both those guitars were stolen. And so I've learned my lesson about that. But that was a great guitar. And then I've had other, Martin's D21s, which I love those. I played those for a long period of time. And then I found an old Gibson J45 that just, when I started finger picking, it had that thump, that low, just dead thump that's of Lightning Hopkins. And so somewhere in there, I just became a Gibson guy. I still have three Martins. I have a 12-string and a tenor Martin and a Martin D18E. But for what I really just like the Gibson thumps, and I've got a bunch of those. I don't have them all in the same room at the same time because I don't want Judy to know how many I've got.
Well, tell us a little about the ones you brought here.
Oh, now these things here. This one is actually it's a 1959 Southern jumbo body, but it has a 1949 J45 neck. I found this neck in Kentucky, just over in a corner, and I said, and bought it for $100 and had it. And then a friend of mine, Tony Nobles, there in Wimberley, he had this body with the neck broken off of it, and so I said, he sold me the body and put this neck on it. And it's just a big old fat neck, and we put these old D. Armand toaster tops on it. So which I have that comes out here. And I usually run that into a tuner into a Alan Durham Sex Drive. It's Charlie Sexton. He and Alan Durham there in Austin came up with this compression pedal. It's called a Sex Drive, and it just kind of takes the bite out of the B string, And then I've got a K&K inside here that I come out here and run that into a Red Eye DI that they're made in Austin, and then run that into the system. So then I have this goes to an amp behind me, so I can put a little bite to it, a little vibrato, a little tone, but then you have the K&K out front, mix them both, and they sound really well.
Right.
And then so that's just, and now that I fly Southwest, I can, I can get a early check-in and usually get in like the first 130, and you can carry them on the plane. I would never check one underneath. If they wouldn't let me on, I wouldn't fly. And then this other one here I think it's about a 62 or 63 country and western body, and it has a 51 J45 neck on it. I found that neck in Illinois for like $150. And Tony Nobles, he's just a great luthier there in Wimberley. He just does guitar work. He's built guitars for Alejandro and all these, and so he put them together, and they're old and funky, but so am I, And I feel good. But then I've got a advanced jumbo, a new advanced jumbo from Gibson. I love these things.
What would you say the biggest obstacle you've overcome during the course of your career?
Well, like I say, I used up all my beer coupons in my 20s and 30s, and it was important to me. It was fun at the time, and but finally when I got clean and sober, and when I was 41, and that just kind of came out of this fog and kind of cleared my thoughts and said I really want to try to be a real songwriter, but I'm not going to try to write songs to to have hits. I'm not going to try to write formula songs. I'm just going to write songs about snake farms and train yards and blackbirds that talk and Charlie Musselwhite and Jesse. And so that's, for me, as an old cat, that's really it's a good place for me as a songwriter to be. And so, but I think, probably getting clean and sober and learning to finger pick, and then kind of studying the craft of lyric writing, and like even when I write a goofy song like Snake Farm, I feel like it's still well written. You know what I mean? You can, so that my songs hopefully have a little depth and weight and even humor. And like I say, as an old cat, man, I'm happy to, very grateful, and so it's like I say, I'm happy to, very grateful to be traveling around playing songs for people and people coming to hear me play, and I feel too that it's really, that I'm not a nostalgia act. I'm still trying to make really valid records for now, and that, just kind of relying on. I mean, I still do Redneck Mother because that's my jacket, as they say in prison. That's your jacket, you got to wear it, whatever you're known for. But I still do it. But it's I'm not locked into just that. You know what I mean? So I'm okay today.
You referred to like the '70s Austin scene a couple of times, and you call it progressive country, and it seems pretty obvious that you're purposely not using the word outlaw country. And I know that that's like kind of a sensitive topic, but I guess I was wondering, what is it about that term that kind of turns you off?
Well, it seemed like it's been kind of the wrong people own it.
Right.
And like the whole thing with that progressive country, which back in the 70s, it really was progressive. I mean, Willie Nelson, who had been a straight-ahead, straight-up country singer, moved to Austin. He got Mickey Raphael, who was a blues harp player. Mm-hmm. Jerry Jeff was a folk singer. He got John Inman, who was a rock and roll guy, playing with him. Michael Murphy was a folk singer, and he got, I think, Leo LeBlanc on steel. So it was all this music. It was country that was very progressive at the time, and the lyrics were very important. And I think the outlaw thing, of course, with Waylon and Jesse Coulter and Willie and the other guy, I went blank on his name. I know him, but I think that was a great album. It was a good term, but now it seemed like it's kind of used for marketing rather than what the real purpose of it is. I think they were, the music at that time, country music, it was very progressive, and it was just so I don't know. So they referred to me as an outlaw guy, but I'm pretty much. I stay in I don't get in the passing lane.
Stay in your own lane.
I stay in my own lane, So I don't know. I really don't. People ask me who I listen to, and I really don't really know what's going on in country music. I usually listen to like friends of mine, like McMurtry or Hayes Carll or Slade. When they come out with a new record, that's who I listen to, So I feel very fortunate to know those guys, and like I say, they're my friends, and that's who I listen to, those guys. This is a song called Train Yard Blues. I wrote this with a young girl named Liz Foster, who's in this great band called the Trishas in Texas. And it's the first song I ever wrote with a woman, so it kind of took a different perspective. Kiss me on the left, sweet gal, as if we was fixing to die. And I'll follow you down till the Mississippi runs dry. There's a room down at the train yard. The walls is gray, the door ain't never locked. Sundown is still away. I fetch us a blanket, bring a box of Cracker Jacks. We'll make a pallet on the floor. We'll lay a penny on the railroad tracks. When the train comes flying past, the wall shakes and the floorboard squeaks. But you be sitting on top of the world, girl, like a Mississippi sheik. So now, if anybody ever asks you if you got any, you just smile, lick your lips, and show 'em that old flat penny.